Real Kyper on the road. I don't have an RV, but I can tell you what, doesn't stop me from getting on the road. And here I am in Boston visiting my kids for the week. And Mac, you're not the only one that can hit the pavement here.
That's right. Good to see you. Good to see you getting on the road. But you should invest in an RV. I mean, put the pup tent away. It's not fair to Anne Marie that she has to sleep in a pup tent halfway to Boston.
Well, I'm going to be here all week, and we thought we'd do an abbreviated version until I get back, which would be at least a week. So let's do this, Mac. But before we get into the eve of the Stanley Cup final, and what a final we expect it to be, we know one team that we thought would be there, but we certainly didn't know about the other. But before we get into that, Mac, I really think it's important for us to at least talk, if not dissect a little bit of what's transpired, especially over the weekend, where a story has gained tremendous speed with the Chicago Blackhawks. And we're talking about an unidentified player back in 2010, allegedly being sexually assaulted, Mac, by a then assistant coach in 2010. There's a pending lawsuit. But your first thoughts when you first started to hear about this story?
Well, it was alarming to say the least about these, I guess, allegations, lawsuit, what it is, and I thought back as to, if I was the general manager and this happened in our organization, what would happen? And where would you go with it? And the number one thing as a general manager that you would do is you would take it to your president, or you would, if you didn't have a president, you would take it directly to your owner and say, this is a situation that I've been confronted with. How do we want to move forward? How do we want to handle this? I don't know where it went in Chicago. It sounds as though there was a very obviously a meeting held with the president, with the general manager, with a couple other people in the office, and nobody seems to know where it has gone from there. One of the coaches, Paul Vincent by name, recommended that they go to the police with this, recommended to the group. Obviously, that wasn't the case, and that didn't happen. And that was in 2010 during the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now we've got a lawsuit.
And everything that we read about now is hearsay, and these are alleged stories. We don't know in terms of the greater detail of how everything went down, Mac. But is there a chance now that according to you, if you went to the owners and the ownership group was not comfortable going to the National Hockey League, i.e. Gary Bettman and Bill Daly, that there's a chance that all of this went down without the NHL knowledge?
I think it could have. I mean, it just depends on, what the ownership or the president at the time, which was President McDonough was the president at the time, what decision he and Stan Bowman and Al McIsaac, who were the three management people at the time, what they decided to do to handle this. Obviously, it went back to the player from the mental skills coach, Dr. Gary, that it's been alleged that he said it was the player's fault. Well, I'm not sure that's the ideal way of handling these serious allegations. So 10 plus a lot of years have passed, 2010. Why has it taken so long? Well, I guess what has happened is the alleged in this case went on to commit a crime in Michigan after leaving the Blackhawks on his way University of Miami and then on to high school in Houghton, Michigan, and committing a crime where he has served time for a situation where he abused a player on that team. Allegations are that the Blackhawks, after the 2010 season, gave this individual a letter of recommendation, which helped him get other jobs. So all these things are being said, the player that is filing the lawsuit, obviously, since 2010, where is this going to go? It's in the courts.
Here we are on the eve of Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. We haven't really heard from the league other than Bill Daly saying that has gone on record saying there's no formal investigation, but this is clearly something that he's going to have to address prior to puck drop. You would think.
Look, with all that's been said here, and I happen to know John Torchetti. John Torchetti was the coach, one of the coaches at the time. He has come out and said that as far as he's concerned, Paul Vincent's statements are correct, that he went to the group and said that this should be taken to the police. I trust John Torchetti. I trust Paul Vincent that something actually went down here. So what happens? What happens with this case now will be interesting to see. Obviously, time limits. Maybe the Blackhawks have basically said they feel that they have nothing here to hide. Well, we shall see.
Another guy that has gone on record that said he had nothing to hide is Marc Bergevin, the general manager of the Montreal Canadiens, who was then a member of the Chicago Blackhawks player development team. It's really a shame, Mac, that this story is going to probably lead, I think, many into at least Game 1. It's not fair for the players on Montreal or the Tampa Bay Lightning, but it is what it is, and we're going to have to watch this closely as we go into Game 1.
Well, I think one of the most disturbing things that has come across is that it seems that, and a couple of former players have come out and said it was common knowledge amongst the players. I mean, we've seen two former Blackhawks from the 2010 team that have come forward and said, hey, this was common knowledge that this was going on, that this had happened. So that even complicates it a little more.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it as it moves along, Mac. Here we are on the road. I'm in Boston. I'm in my kid's dorm room. Can you believe that? Doing the Real Kyper at Noon show. This is the abbreviated version. We also know, Mac, you've got a doctor's appointment. You're still battling a little bit of that vertigo, so we won't keep you much longer, but we got to tee up Game 1. The unlikeliest of teams, the Montreal Canadiens, against the team we thought could be here, along with maybe Vegas or Colorado, but a team that finished 18th overall shouldn't really be here, but the play in the playoffs have dictated that they deserve to be here, that they should be a good matchup for Tampa Bay, because this is really about offense versus defense.
This is a tremendous matchup. You know, when who would have ever believed it? And you said it. The Montreal Canadiens have played exceptional hockey since they were trailing 3-1 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you look at how they've played since they were trailing 3-1 through the rest of the Toronto series, where they disposed of the Toronto Maple Leafs, to be quite honest, fairly handily in those games, and then went on and 4 straight over the Winnipeg Jets in a series that they weren't anticipated to win. Scheifele went down, we know that. Tavares went down, we know all about that. Then to go against the Las Vegas Golden Knights and to play the way they did in that series has taken the hockey world by storm. They're going into this series with a ton of confidence, not to mention still missing their head coach. So how many things can happen to the Montreal Canadiens before this series starts? Well, they're going in feeling very confident. And is it a matchup that a month ago would have said that the Montreal Canadiens would have a chance to win? No, most people in the hockey world would say no chance to win this series against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm not so sure right now.
Since that Toronto series, since being down 3-1, it was almost as if they were playing flawless defense. And when you think about the challenges that blue line, or the forwards have had in shutting down the likes of Matthews and Marner and Ehlers, Wheeler, and then Vegas, of course, Stone, Pacioretty. Can they do it one more time? Because we are talking about Braden Point, who is now challenging history for consecutive goals in the playoffs, Mac, and a Victor Hedman, who's really taken over the offense when it comes to all blue liners in the National Hockey League. Can they do it one more time? Braden Point is a puck possession guy, loves to come through the neutral zone. The challenge is now for Weber, Edmondson to shut that down. It'll be shocking if they can do it 4 times now.
Yeah, it will be shocking, but I'll tell you what, I think the key thing to this series is they've got to play the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-on-5. If they can play the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-on-5, they've been exceptional 5-on-5. Can they do it again? Can they shut down the point line, Cirelli line, the Gord line? Can they handle those guys 5-on-5? I know Montreal's power play has been 100% since the Toronto series, 3/4 way through that Toronto series. 100% the penalty killing. It's been amazing, to be quite honest. The job they did on the Las Vegas power play was exceptional. On the Leafs, on Winnipeg's power play, albeit, yeah, their penalty killing was short, or power play was short end of the time. Can they contain the power play of the Tampa Bay Lightning? I think 5-on-5 they can play with Tampa Bay. Can they continue with the excellent penalty killing? And we all know about penalty killing. It all starts with your goaltender. So power play, discipline, penalty killing, where does that stand? Tampa Bay Lightning.
What is going to bend first? Is it the penalty kill or the power play at Tampa Bay? Because I still buy into the theory that it's easier to defend than it is to create in our game. Therefore, shouldn't the edge go to Carey Price, who is the best penalty killer right now in the world?
Well, you would say that, except that Tampa Bay have had such a great season and a great history in the last couple of years. Stanley Cup winners, the Kucherov, the fact that he's supposedly 100%. He's questioning now why he missed all that game. I guess he just took it off because he wasn't feeling well. But come on, the guy, how serious is his injury? What is Stamkos going to be like? We know how Stamkos is going to be in the power play. 5-on-5, sold that Tampa Bay will dominate this. I still think Montreal will play with them 5-on-5. I really believe that. Penalty killing is going to be the $1 million question. Carey Price has been terrific. The problem Montreal are up against is Vasilevsky has been damn good as well. So you've got 2 spectacular goaltenders going head to head. Are they going to contain the power play? Are they going to be able to get to Vasilevsky? Are Tampa Bay going to be able to get to Price? Are they going to be able to get by this big 4 of Montreal's blue line? Kids. Can the kids down the middle of Montreal? And always a veteran. But can Suzuki and Kokoniemi and Stahl, who's not a kid, contribute down the middle of the ice?
Can you recall a matchup, a goaltending matchup to this extent? And if you had to pick one right now, I think you're leaning towards Vasilevsky. I would actually lean towards Carey Price in this one.
Vasilevsky is spectacular. I've become an amazing fan of his since that 5 overtime period against Columbus a year ago, where he was absolutely dialed in and has been for the past year. The way Price is playing right now, I have a hard time giving Vasilevsky an edge. I do. I think it's an even game going in. I'm telling you what, right now, this Price Weber Deke is going to another level. The players on this hockey team want to win for these 2 guys. The way Weber has shown his leadership since coming to Montreal, and he's had his ups and downs, and he's been ripped, and he's been criticized, and he's been injured.
The
But
whole
what
team
he's done
has.
in this, what he's done in this playoff, and what Price has done after the criticism he's taken, it's a special bond going on right now, and I don't think you can underestimate that. I think it makes up for a lot of talent.
Vasilevsky's arguably their MVP all season long, and you look at his numbers and they're spectacular. If you had to pick one MVP for Tampa Bay, it would be hard to pick between Vasilevsky and Braden Point with his 14 goals in 18 games. Who would you pick?
You know what? I think I would have to go with Point. I mean, Vasilevsky to me has been very, very good. I know he's been great in the elimination games with shutouts, but Point to go 9 straight games with goals, and I mean big goals, Nick. I mean late games, overtime. I mean, I've got to go with Point just for what he's been able to accomplish. But that's by the slightest of margins. Both of them have been spectacular. But Point to me has become, and you said it a week or so ago, one of the great clutch performers of all time with the way he's performed lately for this hockey team.
And it's those goals in that short 3-foot radius in front of the net, Mac, with the lateral movement and the ability to slow the play down while everybody's running around with their heads cut off. He actually can slow the game down between the ears and take that extra second to go forehand, backhand. That's how good he is. On the other hand, go ahead.
Well, no, I agree. Can Montreal's defense and their low forwards contain Point around the paint? They did it against Stone. They did it against Pacioretty. They did it against Carlson. They did it against Marchessault. They've done it against all those guys. Riley, for the most part, they've done it against those guys. They did it against Connors, Wheeler, all the guys in Winnipeg. They did it against Matthews. They've done it against Marner. Can they do it against Point, Kucherov, Stamkos, and company? I don't see any reason why if they've contained those superstars in the game, which they have, they shut them down. Mark Stone, one of the MVPs of the league, couldn't get a sniff against this team. So, in my opinion, if they can shut those guys down, they have a chance to shut down Tampa Bay.
A key in all of this will be officiating and how it's called, Mac. We don't really expect a parade to the penalty box, but the National Hockey League has had some major issues throughout these playoffs. And every year it's the same thing. You can debate certain calls, but this year has a different feel to it. And just the pressure on these officials now going into the final. And I'm just wondering, Mac, with all of that going on, who does it favor here, Montreal or Tampa Bay, when it comes to style of the officiating? When I think about shit disturbers, I think about Corey Perry being at the top of the list, being the key in all of this. But Tampa Bay's got a few of their own too.
They do, and I think that to me the key will be, can the Montreal defense not take penalties? Can Montreal Canadiens in the defensive zone in particular, through the neutral zone, defensively, can they not take penalties? Can they not take cross-checking? Can they not take holding, hooking, those type of penalties against a fast Tampa Bay team? So to me, I think the pressure is on Montreal from a referee's perspective. We've known how physical they've been. We've watched them play hard, physical, and for the most part, they've been relatively penalty, not free, but not getting nailed. So the discipline of the Montreal Canadiens defensively has got to be solid so they do not take an overabundance of penalties, because if they do, a 37% power play Tampa Bay would scare me going into this series.
Nick Kypreos, Doug Maclean. I'm coming from Boston. I'm in a dorm room visiting my kids down here in Boston. I'll be here the rest of the week. We're still coming at you. We're still bringing in Doug Maclean with the heater, the 99% or 99 mile an hour fastball here. Or are you clocking over 100 now, Mac? What's the deal here? Because we are going into prediction time, and we know the Montreal Canadiens. You got a couple of wins out of them in Vegas that I didn't see coming. So give us your feel now going into this series. You got 3. Can you, for Montreal Canadian fans, Matt, can you get 4 wins to predict the Stanley Cup championship since 1993 for the Montreal Canadiens?
Look, I love what Luke Richardson's done, what the coaching staff has done in an unbelievable trying situation. I love how Luke has handled this team on the bench, the composure he showed, the calmness he showed. He's I had 3 years with him in Columbus. I know him pretty well. He's quality through and through. I've watched what Price has done. I've watched what Petrie's done. I am going to say, and I think I may be losing my marbles. Go
ahead.
In the Montreal Canadiens to win this series.
How many games, Mac?
Well, it's going to be a long one. Them to win. Does it really matter how many games, for God's sake, if I say that they're going to win? Are you going to nail me for that too?
As the official host, man, I want to hear it. How many games Montreal wins the Stanley Cup?
Montreal, I'm picking Montreal in 6 or 7 to win.
Wow. Listen, it's been an incredible run for the Montreal Canadiens. I marvel at their flawless play defensively for 3 rounds, but I believe more in the process that Tampa Bay has been the better team all year round. I got to stick with that. That's not to say that I don't think Tampa Bay is going to win the next 2 games. I think Montreal's got an excellent chance to come out of the first 2 games with a split. And I think this was going to be a long one. Carey Price has earned every ounce of my respect to say that this will go 7 games. But at the end, I think the better team will prevail here, and that will be the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Well, as the host and as the owner of this show, you should be right once in a while. So maybe this will be your opportunity to be right. But I'm going out on a limb. There's so many things going right. I experienced the similar run and got my ass kicked in the Stanley Cup final. I don't see that happening. I see a battle here. I see an unbelievable battle by the Montreal Canadiens.
The only thing that you've made real sense out of all of this since we started is when you brought up the ghosts of the Montreal Canadiens. And that, to me, makes perfect sense for everything that's happened throughout these playoffs, is that there is a spirit right now behind the Montreal Canadiens. And you may be right. When it's all said and done, it may be a strong enough spirit, Mac, that it can carry them for 4 more wins.
And you know what the good thing is? If Montreal lose the series, we won't be having any more shows, right? So you can't talk to me till the fall.
I'm still tracking you down here, even though I'm on the road. All right. So you've got an appointment you got to hit right now. I hope you feel better, but we're going to be bringing it the rest of the week. We're gonna tee up. I
think the dizziness has affected my prediction. Question.
Do me a favor. When you speak of dizziness with your doctor, do not blame me, Jordan, or Joe, or the Real Kyper at Noon show.
Got it.
All right. Doug Maclean, PEI. Nick Kypreos in Boston. I hope you enjoyed that abbreviated version of the Stanley Cup final as we gear in towards Game 1. We're going to be back on Wednesday. We're going to touch on what we saw out of game one and get you ready for game two. Joe and Jordan, you want to throw in a prediction before we send off?
Yeah, Doug's going to be late for his appointment. That's my prediction.
Come on, throw one out there.
I'm going Lightning to repeat.
I'll take Tampa as well, but I am a little bit nervous. Anything can happen with Kypreos. We've seen it the last few series, right? So
yeah, you got that right. It's going to be fun to watch, and we know all of you are watching. Thanks for joining us on this abbreviated version. Leave the comments. Let us know who you think's going to step up and win the next 4 games. Thanks for watching. Keep subscribing if you're watching for the first time, and we'll keep you posted throughout these Stanley Cup Finals. Nick Kypreos in Boston, signing off.